Hey, how's it going? My name is Nate from Beverage, and today I'm going to show you how to create a nice, shiny, metallic effect on your beverage can artwork that works whether you're using a sleeved can like this one or maybe even a digitally printed can like this. This is called a white knockout, and I'll show you how to set up your artwork to be able to get that real nice metallic effect that you're looking for. Here we can see that although this black is a nice solid color, we have this kind of pink area, or on this red one, this red area has just a little bit more of a metallic type of shine to it. It's just a little bit different, a little bit of a different metallic effect. And also we notice here in the energy that there's actually no color. That's actually just the solid can color or the aluminum of the can that is showing through. We compare that to something like this one here, where although you do have, this is a digitally printed can, but even though that the colors, you do see a little bit of a shine there, they're not that metallic type of effect. These colors are very bold. If we do that in comparison to something like this, you can see how this one, though it looks a little bit darker in colors, it's because those are metallic effects that are actually coming through. I have another can here that does a beautiful job at illustrating the type of effect. So this is actually a matte finish, but these different elements are actually a metallic reflective type of appearance. Now this is on a sleeved can, but you can see just how reflective and nice that is in comparison. So before we go to actually show you how to set up the artwork on the computer, we first need to talk about what is a white base layer and why is it needed. To simply say it, when you print a color directly on a can, aluminum can, or even on a sleeve that has no white base layer on it, you're not going to have that same level of depth of color or the boldness of color, because that color will somewhat get absorbed by the shininess of the can. And so many times you'll have a white base layer that goes on underneath the can, and then the colors get printed on top. So that way when you print your reds, your blues, your greens, they're the true color that you're looking for and not something that's kind of dull or less bright looking. However, if you're looking for that shiny metallic effect in a color, then you can kind of imagine what you need to do. You need to print a white base layer on everything that you want to have that nice, beautiful, bold color to. But anything that you want to have that shiny metallic effect, you need to remove that white base layer. So that way only the shininess of the can comes through. And that's kind of exactly what we did on this type of can, where on the entire can, there's a white base layer, and then we only remove just the spots that we want to have the shininess to. We just remove those so that way it doesn't print that white base layer. So that way we still get the shininess of the can, but it's not quite as bold looking and has that metallic shiny effect. So let's show you how to do that on the computer. So hopping into Illustrator here, we have a sleek template that we're using, and all of our artwork is going to be nested into one layer. So we have just layer 6, and all of our artwork for the entire design is going to be right here in layer 6. So we have all of our different colors that we want to be printed. Everything's going to be just right here. But you'll notice that we have another layer that's called white base. So I'm going to go ahead and toggle this off so that way you can see and you can kind of get an idea of what's happening now. What we're doing is we have this layer. I'm going to come up here to our swatches and just show you. We have a spot color that is just called white. And it's just pink, but it can be any color as long as you communicate it with your artwork company and they know that's what color it is. In this case, it's going to be this white base. So you could title this maybe white base if you wanted to, something like that. And then what this is saying is that the white base layer first that gets printed is going to print on everything here that is currently pink. So anything that's not pink won't have a white base layer underneath it. So that's going to be like these areas here, here. You can just see what's not going to have printed. If we look at this one more up here and I turn back on my layer, one more is black. And I want that to be a solid, bold color. So I print a white base underneath it to get the solid base color. But like on this here, I want this to be that metallic color. And these here, I want to be a metallic, or I should say metallic effect. And so those don't have a white base on them. Now, the one thing I will warn you is that even though it looks nice and bright on your screen, when you go to print it, these are going to not be quite as bold and poppy as you think they might be. And that's because the aluminum color of the can is actually absorbing a lot of that color as well. So be careful when that. It may come out looking a little bit darker than what you see on your screen in this example. So now that you know how your artwork file should be set up in the end, let's go through a step-by-step of actually how to create this. Now, if you're someone that's familiar with Illustrator, you probably already have a good idea of what to do. But for those that are new or need to learn, this is how you're going to do it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my layers, and I'm going to make sure that we're designing everything in the correct location. So I have a design here. That's all my design. Everything that I want to print it on top is going to be under this layer. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to give us a simple background. So in this case, it's just going to be just a solid purple background color. And then I'm going to bring in the Beverage logo, drop it into the actual artwork file. Now, let's make this a little bit more of a contrasting color, just that way we have, well, contrast to be able to show you. So I'm just going to make this a kind of a brighter orange. Now, what I want to do with this basic design is I want to have all of the purple be a solid color, but I want to have this Beverage logo be basically a metallic or shiny type of effect to it, right? So it's very simple. All that I'm going to do is I'm just going to come here and create a new layer, and I'm going to call this layer, let's do white base with knockout, just so that way things are very clear for the printer. So white base with knockout. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to come up into my swatches palette here, and I'm just going to create a new swatch, and it's going to be spot color, and we're just going to call this white base. And if I could type, there we go. And I'm just going to change this to a nice, very bright pink color. The color doesn't really matter what you're going to do here, as long as you have the swatch named properly and probably communicate it with your printer of, hey, this does have a white base knockout that we're going to be doing. So for temporarily, I'm going to just go ahead and hide this design here file, and then I am going to create a new background that is going to be just this pink layer. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here to my design here layer, and we're just going to click on the group for the Beverage logo. So you can either do a control copy, or you can do, a copy here. And oops, let's go back here to our white base layer. And what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to turn this off so you can see this happen. I'm going to do a Control Shift V, and that's going to drop this logo right into the exact same location as it is on the other layer. It's very critical that you drop these into the exact same location, otherwise it's not going to print the way you want it to. So now what we need to do is we actually need to exclude the logo from the actual white base layer. And it's very simple to do that. You just come here to your Pathfinder, or if you need to, come up here to Windows and then go to Pathfinder. But in this case, I already have it opened up. So we're just going to have these both layers selected, and I'm just going to come here to exclude, and boom. Well, I guess it changed the background color here. So let's go back to the pink layer. But what you can see is it's actually created, it's excluded where I had the logo before, has now been excluded from the white base layer. What it's going to tell the printer is it's going to tell them like, hey, we want a white base layer printed on everything except for just this, what's now white. So it's a little confusing, but on this white layer, or this white missing parts, is where the white base layer is not going to be printed. So if we turn this layers back on, you can see you pretty much have an idea exactly of what's going to happen. So that's all you got to do. It's very simple. So I briefly mentioned before, when you are using this technique, it's going to darken the color that you're actually going to print, because even though this purple layer now has the white base underneath it, this logo doesn't have a white base underneath it. So it's not going to pop or be quite as bold, because it's going to be the aluminum color that's still shining through underneath it. So in some cases, you may want to actually have an opacity, so that way it's not quite as dark. You still have a little bit of a white base, but not a full white base. So I'll show you how to do that as well. What I'm going to do here is I'm actually just going to draw a simple, it doesn't matter, just a simple shape. And let's just change that to, I don't know, like this yellow color here. Now, what I'm going to do is first I'm going to just copy this. So I'm doing a control copy or copy. And I'm going to go back here to my white base layer. I'm going to hide this for a second. Go back to my white base layer. And again, I'm going to do this control shift V to drop it into the exact same location. And once again, I'm just going to grab the two layers that we have here. So I have my white base layer and this layer here. And we're going to go back to our Pathfinder and we're going to do exclude. Once again, change the color. Maybe there's a different way that I should be doing that, but I just change it back. So here now we can see that we have this white base layer that's been excluded or knocked out. And we're going to come back here and we're going to do the exact same thing one more time. So I'm just going to do a control copy or copy here. And we're going to turn off this layer, come back to this layer, and I'm going to do a control shift V, drop it in the same location, but this time I'm going to make it the same white base color. And we just filled that same spot again. But what we can do is we can come down here to our opacity. And so you can imagine what this is going to do. Let's say we want to have it be 30% opacity. So it's going to print, instead of it being a full white that it prints on this white base layer, instead it's going to print, a 30% of white. So no, it's not a full white, but somewhat white. And so this way, you're going to still have a little bit of that shininess of the can come through, but not quite as much. Now, you may need to work with your printer and play around with this of how much shininess you want to come through, depending on how shiny you want it to be. But this is a way that you're able to overcome some of those darkness issues that you may be getting with some of the different layers that you want to actually have a shiny effect to. Or you can create different depths. If you want to have maybe one that is that full shiny effect and then have another one that's not quite as shiny, this is exactly how you would do it. So by now you should be pretty familiar with what a white base layer is and how to use it to your advantage to create those nice shiny metallic effects that you're looking for on your beverage cans. I also got to give a plug to our company, HiveMind Beverage. We are a full-service beverage manufacturer specializing in the small to medium-sized brands. As well as those brands that are just starting out and have a bunch of questions, we can definitely help you. So if you're looking for co-packaging services ranging from anywhere down to 1,500 cans all the way up to the hundreds of thousands, or maybe you need some beverage formulation services for your idea that you have, or maybe you still need help with your graphic design, we can definitely help you with that as well. So give us a call or go to our website for more information. That's hivemindbev.com. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll catch you next time.